Hey everyone, hoping you're all doing well and welcome back to Bee's Kitchen. Today we are going to bake some flaky, simple but tasty Ghanaian tuna fish pies. So stay with me and let's get started. For the fish pie recipe, I am going to use the following ingredients. I have 1 egg in this bowl and this I will be whisking later and I will use it as egg wash on the pie is ready for the oven. I have salt, grated nutmeg, I have onion puree, and I'm using onion puree because instead of using just ordinary water or milk, I use onion puree and it just takes the pie to a whole new level. You have to try this trick. I have some chopped onions, I've got my tuna in this bowl and I'm using tuna in brine, but I've drained the water away. So if you're using tuna in sunflower oil, you can also drain the excess oil away. I have unsalted butter, plain flour in my mixing bowl. I will be using some seasoning to of course season the tuna, and I have paprika, aromat, black pepper, and of course white pepper. So as always, all ingredients including measurements will be in the description box below. To my plain flour, I'm going to add butter, which I have left at room temperature. And when it comes to meat pie, please ensure that you are using enough butter, because if you're not, your meat pie can come out dry. You know, the more butter you add, you get the flaky and crumbly pie. I've also added salt and nutmeg, and now I'm just going to mix everything together until the flour and the butter is well combined, until I achieve a crumbly consistency. And this is the consistency I am looking for, the crumbly consistency. You can tell that the butter and the flour has mixed in very, very well. And this fish pie is certainly going to come out so flaky and so delicious. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to gradually add the onion puree. Now with the onion puree, I blended half an onion with 60 ml of water, and I stopped adding plain water or milk to my pie dough because I found that the onion puree just took the pie dough to a whole new level. It smells amazing when it's baking in the oven, and guys, it just adds another flavor to your dough. So if you haven't tried this, you need to try it, and just let me know in the comments below what you think. Like I said, I'm going to gradually add the onion puree, and I'm just going to knead it into a nice round ball. If by any chance you blended too much of the onion puree, do not add all of it at once. Gradually add it, continue to knead until your dough forms into a ball. And as you can see, my dough has formed into a nice ball. So what I'm going to do now is I will cling film the dough and I'll rest it in my refrigerator just for 5 minutes whilst I make the pie filling. Time to start making the pie filling. To my pan, I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of oil, and I will allow the oil to come to heat. Once the oil is hot, I'm going to add the chopped onions, and I will saute this until the onions are nice and fragrant. As the onions have come to fragrant, I'm just going to add my tuna. And also guys, when it comes to the pie fillings, honestly feel free to use whichever meat of your choice. If you like chicken, corned beef, minced meat, it's entirely up to you. My favorites are tuna and corned beef. I'm not a big fan of the mincemeat pie at all, but again, it's entirely up to you. It is your pie, so you can use any fillings of your choice. I'm just going to simmer this on low heat just for 1 minute, and then next I will add my seasonings. Also guys, feel free to season your filling using your preferred seasonings of choice. As I've added all my seasonings, I'm just mixing everything together, and I'll allow the filling to simmer on low heat just for 2 minutes. I am using tinned tuna, so I don't need to overcook it. And 2 minutes later, the filling is ready. So I'm just going to set it aside and allow it to cool down. Whilst the filling is cooling down, time to roll out the dough. So I've just sprinkled some excess flour on my counter, and the reason why I have sprinkled excess flour on the counter is because once I start rolling my dough, this will minimize the dough from sticking to the counter. I also dust a little bit on my rolling pin just to ensure that whilst I'm rolling, my rolling pin also doesn't stick to the dough. So at a time, I take some of the dough and I roll it out flat. And I tend to roll out my dough flat to about 2 centimeters in thickness. Also, the reason why I do this is because I don't want to overwork the gluten which is inside my dough. So I want to do it at a time. And if you feel like your rolling pin is sticking to your dough whilst you're rolling, don't hesitate to dust your rolling pin with some of the excess flour which you have. So as you can see, I have completely rolled out my dough flat, and I'm just going to use a bowl and I'll press down on the dough and cut it into the round shape which I am looking for. Next, I will gently lift my cut out dough and I will place this aside. So I'll put it on a plate and I will place it aside whilst I repeat the same steps. So again, fold the dough in, roll it out to 2 centimeter thickness, cut it out, place it aside, and then I'll continue to do this until I don't have any more dough left. And as you can see, I have finished cutting out my dough. So all that's left to do now is fill. Before I fill, I'm just going to mix together my egg. And this is the egg I'm going to use as my egg wash to seal the pie, and also to egg wash before the pie goes in the oven. So now I'm going to fill the dough. So I'm just going to take one at a time. And then next I'm going to fill the dough with my filling, which has completely cooled down, and I'll place the filling at the center of the dough. And I like a lot of filling in my pies. If you're somebody that don't like a lot of filling, then feel free to add as much or as little as you prefer. But for me, if I buy any pie, I do want a lot of filling inside. So now I'm just going to glaze the edges of my pie dough, and then this will just ensure that once I fold it over, it seals nicely. So I'm now going to go ahead and fold the dough over, and then next I'll seal with my fingers. Also guys, if some of your fillings falls out, it's okay. At least you know that you have enough fillings in your pie, so don't worry about it. So now I'm just going to press down around all the edges of my pie just to ensure that I have sealed it, and I'm just using my fingers to make some indentation in there. And this is it, it is done. So now I'm just going to make some holes using a fork at the top of my pie, and this will ensure that once it goes in the oven, there's no heat trapped in the pie and it doesn't explode. So this is ready. I'm just going to set it aside. I will then show you another way of sealing your pie. So again, gently fold the dough over, and then using a fork, you can gently press down the fork at the edges of the pie. So using a fork, I'm just going to press down at the edge of the pie, and then this is another way of also sealing your pie. So it's entirely up to you. You can use the fork technique or you can use your finger technique. I prefer the finger technique. I think it's a lot quicker, and also remember to make the holes at the top of your pie. So this is it. 2 ways of sealing your pie, and there's no right or wrong way. You have the fork technique and you have the finger technique, so you can choose which technique that you wish to use to seal your pie. I'm just going to repeat the process until I don't have any more of my dough left. And as you can see, I have finished filling all my pies, and these pies are ready for the oven. Please ensure that you have lined your baking tray with grease-proof paper. If you don't have grease-proof paper, go ahead and dust your baking tray with excess flour, and this will ensure that once you lay your pies on the baking tray, it doesn't stick to the baking tray whilst it's baking in the oven. Next, I'm going to egg wash the pies, and then it will be time to put the pies in the oven. Once you finish egg washing the pies, they will be ready for the oven. I will be baking my pies in a preheated oven at 200 degrees for 25 minutes. Please ensure you keep an eye on your pies. You don't want them burnt. And the pies are ready, guys. Oh my goodness, just look at this. They smell amazing, and just look at the beautiful golden color it has on top. I cannot wait to tuck in. I love my pies with some vanilla milkshake. It takes me back to Ghana, and you buy your wheat pie and then you have your fun ice. Oh my god, I cannot wait to enjoy. As always, thank you so much for joining me, guys. I really do appreciate the love and support and all your comments. If you haven't subscribed, please don't forget to subscribe. Let's look at our pie. Just look at this beauty. Enjoy, and I'll see you next time. Bye.